Okay, hello. So, what do you need coaching on today?
Yeah, I guess for me right now, it's just kind of like sense of direction for me because right now I'm in my currently like I'm almost graduating from university. And then like so it's kind of like there's a lot of like areas to it as well. Mostly because like I don't really know exactly what to do for my life because like I thought, like I did well in high school, I did well in these subjects in math, whatever, that I would pursue the same thing in university. Um, because I didn't have any life experience at that point, I chose a basic science degree. Didn't like it at the end, so I switched it to exercise science, kinesiology. And then I'm almost, like almost graduating now, and I'm kind of realizing that like, oh, like I kind of feel like I'm in the same kind of boat as before, kind of thing. Or like I'm still kind of like directionless on where like I want to like go, sort of.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, you feel like you don't really have a sense of direction on what to do with your life overall. There's no direction.
Yeah, like I do have experiences under my belt that would make me like, like employable.
Hmm.
Uh, and I do have like the skill set of, like research or doing this or doing that. But I guess for me right now, it's just like I'm just like afraid of doing like the wrong thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense.
Yeah.
So, let's explore that just a little bit. What happens when you make the wrong choice?
Um, what happens when you make a wrong choice? Well, you probably feel like pretty bad about it, I
Hmm.
assume. Like you feel
Hmm.
guilty that if you chose another route, you could have been living a totally different life, maybe a better one. But at the same time, I also recognize that if you do the wrong choice, at least you know that that's the wrong choice, kind of.
Yeah, and I think this feeling of what if I make a wrong choice is a familiar one.
Yeah.
When have you when have you regretted making a bad choice before? Because your mind is trying to avoid something that has happened. It recognizes it. It felt really bad, so it doesn't want that to happen again.
Yeah.
So when has this happened before in your life?
Uh, it's um I guess like so when I say wrong choice, I also mean it in the sense of like of like not doing something, like the lack of like doing, and like because of like doing, like not doing anything, I see everyone else around me like even though like they're going through the struggles and like making their wrong choices, they at least like got somewhere. So for me, that was mostly it. The wrong choice was that I didn't do anything. I didn't. Uh, Go out and apply myself out in the real world. I didn't message enough professors to ask them if they need more help with things. I didn't go out and like talk to more girls, that kind of stuff. And then that kind of sets me back into this like square one kind of situation where like, okay, I've gone pretty far in my life, but now it kind of feels like everything's circled back. And I'm still kind of like afraid of like doing nothing, but also because doing things is a new experience for me. I'm afraid of like messing that up entirely. Because
Yeah.
like I'm almost out of school now. I don't have the leisure of like necessarily like failing at stuff and trying new things again because the economy is kind of bad and just that kind of stuff. But
Hmm.
yeah,
And if you did fail, let's assume that you got a job, but then you either didn't make a lot of actions or you were too inactive, and then let's say you got fired. So let's just like
yeah,
assume the worst, right?
hmm
And you make regrets, and you think about all the choices that you could have made. But when all of those bad things happen, what does that mean about you as a person? Like, does it mean that you are, what does it mean that you are? What you are what? When things happen.
When if I were to actually get like fired, like that situation.
Yeah, fired, or you make a lot of choices that you regret later on. When all those bad things happen, you are what?
Yeah. In my opinion, I think I just returned back to where I am, I guess. Like I would feel bad about it, but ultimately it just reverts back to like I guess like I'm back at square one. You know, I'm still like kind of a little bit like unsure what to do.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So I think a repeating theme so far from our discussion is that there's a lot of there's a lot of feelings around staying in square one for you.
Yeah.
So what
Because
is
that's comfortable. Yeah.
yeah, but you like you say, staying in square one is comfortable. But what about staying in like square one inspires you to get out of it so much?
Oh, it's probably because like seeing other people like again, like other people like going past square one kind of thing. Like they also like probably go back to like square one eventually. Like, you know, when they have like a midlife crisis or they learn that this isn't what they want to do. But usually I would see them like on a more like long-term sustainable route where they know at the end they want to achieve something and they might have like several like parts of their life where they have to go back to square one. But in the end, like, you know, that's just like a very short term kind of thing for them. Whereas for me, like it kind of feels like a consistent pattern in my life so far.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I'm only like I'm in my like early 20s, so I guess that's a bit different because people say like, oh, you have a lot of time ahead of you, but like as of right now, it feels like it's doesn't really feel like that way for me.
Hmm. Yeah, and if it's a repeated pattern, I can definitely see how it can be a little frustrating for you. So
Yeah.
now, let's do this. Let's try to determine your future first, and then when you do that, your brain is going to resist, and let's address those resistances.
Mm-hmm.
So, you studied to go to university. You
Yeah.
studied, picked a major because, you thought you would like something, right?
Yeah.
But all those choices were more or less bound by your circumstances at the time.
Right.
So, for example, if I ask a prisoner who's in a prison cell where they want to go for vacation, they can't really think of it because they imagine their life still confined in the cell. But I'm just asking them to like get out of the cell for just a second, and if they had the freedom to go wherever they want, where would they go, right? So
Right.
when you pick a major, you're like, oh yeah, this sounds really good for me. But what good is at that time is good that's very related to your circumstance. So for example, if your parents are really, really depending on you for, I don't know, for your family's honor, you're gonna be the first graduate of the university,
Uh,
and you have to, like we're not really financially well off, so and we invested a lot of money in your education, so you need to make us proud. If you're in that kind of mentality, then picking a major like economics or engineering or some pre-med, something that makes a lot of money sounds really attractive because it
yeah.
sounds good based on that confine.
Yeah.
But a lot of people try being a lawyer and then they do something completely else, right? A lot of people try
Right.
to be a doctor and then they want to stop being a doctor, right?
That's
So
a good point. Yeah.
now what I'm really inviting you to do is remove all judgment and shame about your desires, right?
Right.
When we tap into that really abundant zone where money isn't an option, your family is not gonna depend on you for money because you have so much.
Right.
Time is not gonna be an option because like you have all the time in the world to do whatever you want. And
Right.
you have infinite stamina and you have
Still.
infinite amount of resources, infinite amount of people who are willing to help you in fields that you're not good at, infinite amount of land, infinite amount of everything. When you're in this really abundant mindset without the current restrictions in your life, what do you want to do then?
Like, what would I like to pursue?
Yeah, what would your life like be like? What would you be doing every day?
It's a good question. I never really given thought to that because like usually I would kind of like think of that, like have that kind of zone first, but then usually like when I try to think about something, then like the another part of my brain is like, well, no, because like this is not realistic or this is
Yeah,
not financially responsible, right?
we're gonna talk about that.
So
So
yeah, but there's a question though. I would like I don't really have a clear thought answer, but I know it has to do with like definitely like a very like being around a lot of people. I would say like I do get a lot of energy just from being around just people. There's that. I've always also like I when I was younger, I always like thought I wanted to be like a K-pop star
mhm.
at some point, and I did have like I guess like the skills for it, but then I guess my parents were just like they're like, oh, this is not really stable for you, and like it's not realistic. So I think that's where I gave up. So yeah, if I had all the time in the world, I think I'd probably wanted like to perform or share art to like a lot of people as much as I could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that part of you that's excited about that possibility, right?
Hmm.
Think of how much that aspect of you is just constantly shoved down, constantly stuffed, saying, no, no, don't think that. That's unrealistic. No. Now, we found something that you would like. And, you could think of more. This is going to be an ongoing thought for you.
Yeah.
So, but we picked one, right? And
Hmm.
now we know that you would like to be around a lot of people and you would like to perform. So let's pick really specific versions of that. And we're gonna be as grand as we can. And so why we're going grand as we can is not because I'm saying glamour and grandness is good, but it's
Yeah.
because it's the direct opposite of what your mind is forced to do every day. So the grandest version of that dream would be to perform at like Madison Square Garden.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd be terrifying, but I'd be pretty like psyched up to do
Yeah.
that.
So do you want to be a solo act or do you want to be in a group?
I feel like I probably want to be in a group dynamic because that way, like, it's not all like pressure on me, but
Mm-hmm.
at the same time, like also having some sort of solo element where I can like kind of separate myself from like the group entity.
Yeah.
So like like being in a group, but also holding my individualism as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So in this group, are you envisioning like a band or is it like a performance?
Oh, that's a good point. Um, Probably a performance, although I wouldn't be opposed to like a band
Mm-hmm.
kind
Okay.
of setup.
Now, what about like what kind of style of music do you want to be doing? Like, do you want to do like the really like hard beats, like trap style, like hip hop, like mixed with, or do you want to go like avant-garde and mix all like modern music, like electronic, like and or do you want to be like a cappella with like super artsy, like what kind of performance do you want to be doing?
I think I just want to be doing something that like kind of feels important to me.
Mm-hmm.
So like humans can have like a variety of emotions,
Mm-hmm.
right? I think like like maybe rock and roll just to like show like your more of your like passionate side,
Uh-huh.
and then like the acapella or like the avant-garde is like it's just like, you're like kind of mellow or like your soft side, I guess.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is great because now you're not only just talking about your life and your experience, now you're getting into that zone of what you want to push out into the world. You want to make
Yeah.
people feel emotions. You want them to feel empowered, and you want them to connect to their emotions when you're singing soft songs, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, and world tour. How many cities?
Sorry, I just had to laugh.
Yeah, yeah, but
Like,
how many
yeah.
cities do you want to do?
Oh, like as many as I can, I
Okay.
guess.
So
Yeah.
as many as you can. So are you only gonna do big venues or and big city, major cities, or are you gonna visit local towns of everywhere as well?
I think I'll like probably like fixate on the biggest cities.
Mm-hmm.
But if I can also like maybe do some more like local-ish places as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what are your aspirations in terms of this goal? Like in terms of this life, do you wanna, win what's the music award? Do you want to win a Grammy? Or do you want to have your own like management company where you can produce artists who have the same dream? What's a follow-up? What's
Uh,
after? What's beyond this dream of performing?
yeah. I think like it just comes down to like recognition.
Hmm.
So because like, awards are also like another great way of like recognizing achievements and progress. So there's definitely that.
Hmm.
But the idea of also like kind of um setting up like a company to like like to help out other people who are like have these kind of aspirations is also something that I would look forward to do as well.
Yeah, yeah. So now you get the sense of, do you feel connected to your future self? Like you're feeling that emotion and what you would be excited by.
Yeah, I feel definitely like more connected to like my past. Yeah.
Yeah. So now let's get to the sucky part.
Yes.
What is your resistance saying?
That like, oh, I'm too old, or I have like all these things I had to like worry about first, like debt and everything else, that like this is not very like it's a hard industry to break into,
Mhm.
100%. So like you have a formal education for it, and you like do an internship and just get a job in that way. Um, and then obviously it's like, oh, like will I actually succeed? Like, will this be like of any like success, or will it just be like oh, you tried doing something, but it turns out like you weren't so good at it. So like,
Yeah. So those are all very good points made by your brain, right?
yeah,
So let's pick one. So it's hard, right? Like it's hard to break
yeah,
into that industry.
yeah,
You currently are studying at a university, right?
yeah.
If you were to connect with your high school self for just a little bit, getting into a university is really hard, right?
I guess, yeah.
It
It's
takes a lot when you're in high school.
uh, I never thought of it that way, but yeah, like
But once you're in university, once you're in college, you never think about that, right?
mm, that's
Like,
true. Yeah,
think of how many applications you did as a high schooler. Think of how many essays you wrote thinking about, am I gonna get into this school or not? Like,
oh yeah, yeah,
it's so hard. But once you get in, you kind of forget about that. And
yeah. You're
now,
right.
same with your major. There's a lot of people in this world who probably aspire to study your field, right?
Yeah,
But among those people, there are probably a lot of people who don't have enough good grades to pursue your field. And they
that's true.
are
Yeah,
probably looking at your life and being like, oh man, like, but being having this major is really hard. But some people just get lucky and some people get talented and do it. So can you see how this can be exactly the same for basically everything?
yeah. No, you're right. It's just that I seldom kind of reframe it in this kind of sense.
Hmm.
Usually it's like, oh, like right now where I am, like why aren't I doing anything? And
Yeah.
like I don't often look in the past and be like, oh wow, like look at all the efforts I did to take here. Like from a third person perspective, right? If someone were to like present like their case to me, I would say, wow, like you did a lot. Like you should like recognize your efforts and be grateful. But like like for your own like self, it's kind of hard to do that.
Yeah. So now then what's changed? What makes it difficult now, you know?
I mean, I think most of it is just because like I've just been very busy. Like well, no, that's also a lie because if you want to do something, you'll make time to do it. So I guess like for me, it's just like not really appreciating the value of doing that,
So
not
what you
understanding.
said just now is so important. If you want to get something done, you make the time for it, right?
Yeah,
So right now, your life is just kind of in this state zero. You've
yeah,
gone full circle and you're here. And that's because there is no dominant thought that wants you take it to an action. And that thought is really hard to inspire by yourself because of all the things that we unconsciously take in every day from our society. Economy is so bad, but there are people who still get jobs, right?
yeah,
Even in this economy. Oh, like
yeah,
something is so bad and like, like oh, student loans are so high. There are people who still pay it off, right?
mm,
And oh, like being in college as a student and like I don't know, living in some city is so difficult, but there are people who get it done.
yeah,
So like, but you're especially when you're reading the internet and you're on Twitter or Reddit and everybody is just expressing so many woes about how the world is so wrong and how they are all a victim. But what we often forget is as humans, we have the power to craft our own reality. But am I gonna be president tomorrow? Am I gonna be the leader of the free world tomorrow? No, that's not gonna happen. But what you can do every day is a set of actions that'll make you one step towards your desired world. So, for example, I am passionate about animal rights. And I would like to support more animal shelters so that the animals don't have to die as much as they do now, right? So
yeah,
I could just sit here and complain that oh the kill shelters are so bad, so many people are buying instead of adopting and everything sucks.
mm,
But what I also can do is talk about this problem as I'm coaching you and
mm,
as I release to the internet there's so that there's more awareness around this topic. I could also donate a portion of my income which I would have spent for coffee to local shelters. And
mm,
as those actions accumulate and accumulate, it ultimately ends up making the reality that I want.
right,
And so a lot of people say that they're having a hard time imagining that they can do things because they've never done anything like that before. Or
yeah,
because like I've never done that before. But here's the thing, like before the first iPhone came out, nobody had an iPhone. Nobody made an iPhone before, right?
mm,
And every Olympic world record, nobody ever broke it before. So just because something hasn't happened, it's never going to happen again. That kind of mentality is what prevents that reality from happening in the first place.
oh, so can you repeat that again?
Yeah. So let's say like the current world record for 100-meter dash is under 10 seconds, right?
Yeah,
So if everyone in the world thought, oh no, there's no way we can go below 10 seconds, then their training will reflect that.
oh, I see what you mean.
Their mentality is going to be bound by, oh my God, this is so hard running. I'm running as fast as I can. but I know I can't break down the 10-second barrier, so it's okay. So like that thought is gonna influence how you act.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So when you think that, yeah, no, I mean, like, but it's gonna be hard to be a K-pop star now or like a performer now because, like, yeah. If you're in that mental space, can you see how you'll basically never become a performer?
Very clearly, yeah.
Yeah. So now, looking back upon your life, you made the action. You made the decision. Ah, you know what? This major is not working out. Just pure sciences is not working out. I'm gonna choose an applied science. That brain, that part of you that made that executive decision for your life. It wasn't thinking like, but what's the point in picking a new major? I'm just gonna, my life is gonna suck anyway. You could have believed that, right? But instead, you're like, no, I'm gonna take charge. I'm gonna take control of my life, and I'm gonna lead it this way. And here
Right.
you are. So now I could see from your facial expression that, talking and connecting with your past and your future, there was a lot of emotions there for you. So now, like we briefly discussed why unrealistic dreams and thinking about like something that's not going to happen is going to basically prove to you that your dream's never going to come true.
Hmm.
And what's another thought that says, oh, that dream, I don't want to achieve it?
I don't want to achieve it, or I don't know if I can achieve it.
Yeah, I don't know if I
What the,
can. What's another thought that says that?
um, like for instance, like no one you know like has done it,
Hmm.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like you see people like do it all the time, right? But you don't know them. They're doing a completely different life than you are, and you just like don't you can't really resonate with them. Um, but like for my own situations, like even for certain things like student leadership roles, right? I if it was up to me, I wouldn't have done them right from the get go. But after seeing like people who I've known or my friends do it first, then I'm like, okay, I can do it because I know they did it, and I can get like some sort of guidance from them. Um, so I guess to summarize, I wouldn't be comfortable or willing to do it unless I see someone I know has done it and could guide me along the way.
Yeah. So now, can you see how when you believe that thought, you're not gonna take any actions to make that a
Yeah.
possibility? Because
Hmm.
there are actions you can make today to address that, right? So, for example, you could go on LinkedIn and try
Yeah.
connecting with people. You could go on Craigslist, try connecting with people. You could go, I don't know what city you're in, but there are probably local theaters
Hmm.
who do things, right? Or there are probably people on SoundCloud, people
Yeah.
on YouTube uploading their dance covers. All of those people, especially in this online age, are within your reach from your cell phone.
Yeah.
But when your brain is like, well, no one that you know right now does it. So, I mean, you can't do it. So, what if you changed your thought to something that would allow for these types of actions to come?
Hmm.
So, what if your thought can be something like, yes, currently, I have no one around me that did this, but
Yeah.
it doesn't have to stay that way. I can make new connections that can help me.
Hmm.
Like you're into kinesthesiology, and so I don't know if you do like massages or you do like physical therapy consultations, but
Hmm.
performers probably get hurt all the time, right?
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah, so you could potentially seek employment at a physical therapy where there's a lot of performers. Or you could, talk with the local people who perform and talk about their needs, about, basically provide value to them.
Right.
And then make meaningful connections like that too, right? Because like, oh, I only want to connect with you for my personal needs and gains. That's selfish and it's transactional and it's going to be very apparent. But
Yeah.
you can bring something to them.
Some value. Yeah.
Yeah, of value. And so when your mindset changes to, yeah, right now I don't know anybody, but I'm gonna do my best to get into this world. That's when all the action starts flowing in, right?
Mm-hmm.
What else is coming up?
Like, so in my personal opinion, well, if I were to like, I think I would be somewhat like still okay, just keeping this kind of cycle of going back to square one and not being comfortable enough to break out into what I really want to do, see what life is out there for me. So like I'm saying that I would be okay with that like for longer. Um, but recently I got a sense this kind of urgency to do it like as soon as I can. Um, and that's because like my mom got like a pretty bad like report for
Mm-hmm.
her like health. So and because of that, like that really like kind of frightened me into like trying to do something, but at the same time I don't have anything set up to do it. So I'm kind of all like frantic about what to do and how fast can I do it, even though I don't know what I want to
Yeah. Well, first of all, I'm sorry to hear about your mom. And here's the thing. You need to live your life, right?
do. Yes.
When your parents gave birth to you, you were their responsibility until you became an adult because you didn't know how to eat, right? Literally.
Yeah.
You didn't know how to wear anything. You didn't know how to go to the bathroom. You didn't know how to even talk. So you learned all these things from your parents until you became an adult. And now
Right.
you're probably in your early 20s or late 10s, right? And then
Yeah.
do you still, it would be very strange if you still asked your parents permission to go to class, right?
Yeah.
Because you're an adult now, you have full agency in your life.
Yeah.
It would be
Mm-hmm.
silly. I mean, some people still ask their parents about significant decisions in their life, like should I move here? Should I move to that city? Like should I live in this apartment? But at the same time, you don't need to do that anymore because you're an adult.
Yeah.
And so you need to live your life. And your mom is living her life. And
Mm.
your dad is living his life, right? Now, and of course, I understand the sympathy of wanting to make things work as soon as possible so that she can see it today before it's too
Yeah.
late. But that is basically giving the control of your life. So basically, let's say you're inside of you,
Yeah.
there's a master key, like you turn on an ignition for the car, and you
Mm-hmm.
hold the key. You control when you want to turn it on, where you want to go, right?
Right.
When your mom determines that, you're giving that key to your mom. And so,
Right.
best case, what can happen is you make all these things come true. Your mom is really happy and fulfilled and proud of you. And then, like health happens, whatever happens, but you were able to show her.
Mm-hmm.
But what can also happen is you end up resenting your mom because, oh, I wasn't ready to make those decisions. But I had to do it because she was sick. I
Yeah.
had to do it because she was doing because of her state. I had no other choice.
Mm,
That puts you into this really bad victim mentality that ends up making your relationship with your mom really sour. But then ultimately, like, it's you who has to make that decision, right?
yeah,
So
that's true.
you're not a, I don't know if you're a parent right now, but let's say you are a parent, then would you want to see your child rush through things and, like try to get something working as fast as possible and be in that kind of urgency and rush? Or do you want to see them living their life at the pace that they want to live?
Yeah, it's a good point. Like when I called my mom like some time ago, like even before like this like health diagnosis, she's always been telling me to take care of my health first before anything else. Like she and my father moved to Canada, worked a very laborious job, right? Sacrificed their youth, their time to go on vacations, just so that we can also like have a fair chance at life compared to everyone else. And I do think that like for her to see me act like this way, she wouldn't feel very good about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how can you, I mean, what thought do you need to have in order to be the son you want to be?
I think the thought is that like, um that like they'll like the parents like will love you like unconditionally, right? No matter like what you do, how much you screw up, like they'll be there for you, they'll be supportive and everything,
Hmm.
right? Because like, even if you might like say commit something so heinous or like so criminal, I think at the end of the day they will still like have this spot to forgive you,
Hmm.
right? Um, so like kind of applying that to my situation, eh, yeah, I think they would still like they might be obviously hesitant on certain things because they just don't know like how to do that or what that like kind of really like entails.
Hmm.
But I think if they see like me like working hard or having confidence in like this will work or trying out stuff, like they'd still be happy. Yeah.
Yeah. Because they gifted, they created this really precious thing full of possibilities called life, right?
Yeah.
And they imparted that onto you. And a lot of people, given that life, choose to blame their parents for giving it to them, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people do. There's a lot of comments about, arguments between children and parents saying that, oh, then, like, why did you even, have me? I wish I wasn't born. Those kind of dialogues happen all the time.
Yeah.
But instead of that, when you live your full life, you're taking what they give you and you're cherishing it. You're celebrating it. You're encompassing it. You're showing them that what they created, what they gifted to you is fully appreciated and just lived.
Hmm. Yeah. No, that's definitely hard to do. But I think, having this like change of perspective is the first, definitely the first step um to making these changes. Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
Because, yeah.
there will be times in the future when you feel like you're back at square one again. But
Yeah, there will.
at the end, also, just because you decided on this dream today, that doesn't mean you're never going to change your dream ever.
Yeah.
So I had a dream of being a musician too, but like I was
Hmm.
more about like playing an instrument, right? I
Yeah.
wanted to be like Jacob Collier, who's like a like a crazy dude, right? So
Yeah.
that was like my aspiration for a really long time. And so I invested a lot of my time and a lot of my energy and a lot of my money to be enter into that field. And I really made a lot of connections. So I kind of like
Mm.
I'm kind of telling you this because I done it and I definitely know it's possible because I was an engineering student and then I went back to Korea and then I made all these connections, right? So
Yeah,
I tried it and then wow, yeah. At one point I was like, yeah, I don't think this is for me. And then I was
right.
able to let it go. But
I see.
what's really neat is you can repeat this exercise again, right? You can repeat like, okay, so performing turned out to be a good experience, but not
Yeah,
something I want to do in the long, long run. So, okay, let's imagine the abundant space again. A lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of energy, live in the perfect house, and I have everything. Like all the chores are done by people who want to do it for me. So now, what do I want to do using my creative powers? What do I want to do with my executive brain? What kind of decisions do I want to be making? And what kind of creative things do I want to be doing? You can repeat this exercise as many times as you want
mm,
and choose a thought that will allow you to make an action every day.
right.
And like you said, actions are very intimidating and they can be very overwhelming. But when you select just the right thought, the resistance that wants to keep you in the same place, that one thought can overpower that resistance to stay in the same place because
Right.
so excited about the payoff.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you're a gamer,
Oh, yes. Yes, I
but
am.
like when you play League,
Yeah.
there's a very big chance you're gonna be very, very angry. And when you lose like a lot of rounds in a row, you feel like, oh, what if I get flamed again? And what if I just, get into a match with like three trolls and my match sucks? And like what if I carry the team, but then I still lose and I feel horrible? So a part of you wants to stop playing, but then the other part says, whoa, what if next round I get like pentakills and I just own that match and I just feel like the best gamer god of that day? So it's the same. And games are really good at inducing that kind of behavior. So
Mm,
you can do that same thing for your life.
I see. Yeah. Yeah, makes sense.
All right. I think we're near the end of our time, but do you have any concluding remarks or any questions that you want to resolve?
I think this has been mostly it. Just basically, I usually when someone like if someone in my own shoes would like ask me like what to do, I would probably like give something like relevant to what you just said just to me right now to them. But because like, it's kind of hard to like self-coach yourself out
Mm,
of these like negative thoughts or bad kind of frames of like behaviors. Um, it was difficult for me to kind of like get out of there. But I think this session definitely like helped me like kind of understand like what I can do, what I kind of need to do to like kind of go from square one and then maybe take the next step.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why two brains are always better than one.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
All right.
Yeah.
So we can talk a little bit more after the recording ends, but I'm gonna end the recording now. Thank you.
Okay, thanks so much.